We're going to be covering today the key skills for early stage business owners. And if you're not familiar with myself, who we are and what we do, my name is Peter Moriarty. I'm a small business expert, and I've helped thousands of small business owners grow their businesses and create better lifestyle for themselves by growing their teams, growing the technology inside their business, and in general getting things better organized. I'm like an organizational freak, and I like to think of myself as the Marie Kondo of IT. We get your IT systems well organized, we get your team functioning well, and if you're a business owner, you're probably desiring some freedom in your time and some freedom in the way that you live, and I want to create more freedom for you. Whether that's more income, whether that's more time, whether that's more flexibility in where you work from, that's what I'm all about. And so what we're going to be covering today is really some of the key skills if you're an earlier stage business owner. So our mission at itGenius is all about helping small business owners play a bigger game. And what we mean by that is we know with a combination of the right team and the right technology, the right systems and processes, you can really build a better business. And primarily we consult around technology and having technology help support your business systems. But in general, we try and promote good business practices. And what I'm going to be sharing is a couple of things that I've learned over the years of growing and scaling a business. Now we've grown and scaled quite a bit across our group. We've got a couple of companies and we've got, I think, 55 odd people now across both the businesses. And so I know a little bit about scaling businesses and scaling teams, and that's what I hope to impart with you. And for all businesses, we use this as our basis of our consulting, and this is called the growth roadmap. So no matter where you are in business, there'll be different technology strategies that are most appropriate for you. If you're a launch business and you're just starting, you want to get the basics down, like making sure your passwords are safe securely, making sure your files are backed up, making sure you're storing everything on the cloud and not leaving files sitting around on your desktop. If you're a growth business, by that stage you've got the wheels starting to fall off your processes because you've got too many people in the business, and not too many people in that you need to make your team smaller, but just too many people to manage all by yourself. So at that stage, what you really need is technology which will support your business processes and make sure to keep people in line. So no matter where you are on the growth roadmap or the different stages of business, there's a technology strategy that will be fit for you, and chatting to our team will be able to help take you through that. So for early stage business owners, we're really focusing on the launch and the startup stages of business. And I want to take you guys through some of the key skills. And I think these can be applied to everyone. I think the moment that you believe that there's no more learning for you to do is the moment that you stop being a leader. And what I mean by that is that there are always new layers of depth in your learning, and there's always new layers of operating and leading and managing better in a business. And so no matter where you are in business, hopefully you'll get some value out of what I'm sharing. The first thing I want to talk about is a clear long-term vision. And this is really about where is the business going to go. Now, for many business owners, they are, I would say, hyper-reactive. And what I mean by that is they just do what is sitting right in front of them. And entrepreneurs have a pretty solid skill of being adaptable, and that is an excellent trait. However, when you're adaptable, quite often we can get stuck seeing only what is right in front of us and failing to see what might be around the corner. Now, we're pretty good at solving problems and we're pretty good at fixing things as they come up, but we also need to be good at placing ourselves at a advantageous point in the future. And there's this great quote which is skate to where the puck is going, and it's like a hockey reference. Rather than actually chasing after where the puck is right now, you go to where you think the puck is going to be. And this is something that I've developed quite a decent skill at. I think it's just a matter of my logical brain kind of like seeing not only where things are at now, but where they're going to be in the future. And so the easiest way to get yourself in this mindset is to think from all of the market dynamics that I'm witnessing now, from everything that I'm witnessing in this present moment, where do I think things are going to be in 5 or 10 years? So from all the data I have and all the data I can research and find, where do I think things will be in 5 to 10 years? And then it's a matter of placing yourself in the position that is going to work for you. So I try and skate to where the puck is going, and the easiest way to do that is to really think about, okay, well, if right now we have an Uber emerging in our industry, or we have a Netflix emerging in our industry, what would it take to be that business ourselves? And that can be a pretty scary thought sometimes, because sometimes that level of innovation might actually destroy your existing business model. And we had a point in time where we had a managed services business, a more traditional IT consultancy, where we were installing servers, installing a lot of local hardware and infrastructure. And what I noticed was that small business owners were starting to use Dropbox, and they just didn't need servers anymore. And I looked at that business and I realized that when business owners were buying Macs, and some people were starting to buy Chromebooks, although it was very early days, not many of them really existed, what started happening was business owners needed less and less support. And we'd have customers come to us and say, hey, you know what, Pete, I don't really want to pay $1,000 a month for IT support anymore. And we had at this stage hundreds of thousands of dollars a year of recurring revenue in our managed service business, right? That was a decent practice, subscription revenue, all was great. But what I saw was around the corner, 3 to 5 years in the future, that business owners just didn't want to pay that level for IT services anymore, because our phones were auto-updating, our computers came with automatic antivirus installed, and that was going to shift our business. So what I decided to do was actually shut down that part of the business, which was pretty crazy at the time. We're talking hundreds of thousands of dollars a year in a business unit. We actually shut that down. And I called every one of my customers and I said, hey, look, right now you're paying us $1,000 a month for your support. I'd like to move you to a different plan. It's $300 a month. We're only going to support you remotely. We're not going to come to your office anymore. You're going to save $700 a month. This is going to, obviously change a bit of the dynamic about how we work together. But what that opened up for us as a business was we could service customers all over Australia rather than just servicing customers in Sydney. So I made that difficult decision. Obviously, hundreds of thousands of dollars went away and transitioned into what is now our concierge product, which is a low-cost product. And right now that starts at around $80 to $90 per month Australian for unlimited IT support from our team, which is pretty awesome. And it means that now that we have critical mass and scale, we're able to deliver that at a pretty cool rate. Now, the thing is, the difference between that and what our competitors did, which was continuing to try and push their old services, it was a bit like Uber and the taxi industry. It reached a point where our new product became so successful, and we now have hundreds and hundreds of member companies in our concierge membership, that our competitors just can't really actually go down that business because they've invested so much in the old way of doing business, they weren't able to shift. So having a clear long-term vision is absolutely critical to the business. It may even stop your business from becoming irrelevant or becoming the kind of business that goes the way of the taxi industry when Uber comes in and completely changes things. You may choose to draw up a vision board, a mission board, take your team to different places. These are all great exercises. Understanding, what your culture is and what the values are as a part of the business. These are all things that your team can also aspire to as well. Highly recommended that you go through those kind of exercises. So the next thing I want to talk about is how to value your time. So your time as an entrepreneur and as a business owner is your most precious resource. In the early stages, you're probably going to be optimizing for income. And what I mean by that is you're going to be putting your effort into creating as much income as possible. But you're going to reach a point where you run out of time, especially if you're spending or you're selling your time by the hour. And so what happens there is eventually you run out of, let's say you've got 40 hours a week of productive time. You run out of that time and all of a sudden you basically hit a cap. And so I want to take you through an exercise which will help you to realize the value of your time and realize what things should be on your plate and what things you should then delegate. There is a rule for calculating your time, and it's called the 20-80 rule, which is a little bit like the 80-20 rule. So 20-80 is a special number, and that number actually represents the number of productive hours you have every year in your business. And 2,000 hours is not that many, really, when you think about it. If you think about, you might spend an hour dicking around in Xero, reconciling some transactions. 2,000 hours is not that much every year. And so I want you to do a little exercise with me. What I'd like you to do is take your annual revenue for the business. So your annual total sales for the business, and that's your top line projected revenue for the next 12 months. Okay, so if you're growing, you take what you think you're going to do, and don't take some wild assumptions of I'm going to do tens of millions of dollars a year if you're just doing $1 million now. Just take what you think is the realistic 12 months of revenue that you're going to do in the next year. So for me, that's about 5 million across our group and across our two different companies. So we're going to take that number, your total sales for the next 12 months, and we're going to divide it by 2,080. So you take your number and you divide it by 2,080, and you're going to get a new number. Now, from memory, I think mine is around $5,000, something like that, or we'll go for that for now. And what you're going to do is any task that you are doing right now, which is worth less than that per hour, you're going to stop doing it, or you're going to delegate it to someone else, or you're going to automate it. Those are from Tim Ferriss, by the way. And you're going to move it off your plate. Because if you're doing any tasks in your business that are less than the amount of commercial result that needs to be generated every hour that you work in the business as the CEO or the founder, then you need to make sure that that task goes over to someone else. This is your new hourly rate, and this is basically how you're going to measure should you do a task or not. So I'd love to know from you, what's your hourly rate? Drop it in the comments. If that's of interest to you, I would love to know. And from there, we're going to move on to our next tip.